Hey guys, it's Shay with Shay's Urban Edibles. Today I wanted to get a second set of seeds started for my summer crops to harvest in the fall, and then I also wanted to get some potatoes planted. Come along. All right, so I didn't actually order these potatoes. I bought a bag of potatoes from the grocery store and I didn't use them in time, and so they started growing and sprouting. These are the potatoes that I'm going to be planting today. I know it seems a tad bit warm. I know it seems a tad bit warm to be planting tomatoes, but we've kind of been having some off-season weather here in Houston this year. Like for it to be the 4th or the 7th of July, we would normally have temperatures 100 or more. We are currently sitting at around 84 degrees in Houston, so I'm feeling pretty good about planting these potatoes. These are russets. I do know that they require high nitrogen, high potassium, and high phosphorus. They also require well-draining soil. And so I have a soil mix for that. I got a few bags of topsoil from my local big box store, and then I also have a half a bag of potting mix in here. So I'm gonna mix this and use this for the potatoes. And I will also be amending the soil because typically the topsoil doesn't have any nutrients in it, and so I'm going to add some additional nutrients because potatoes are heavy feeders from what I've read. Let me get my shovel. Okay, give this a good mix. I'm not going to add the fertilizers directly into this soil. I'll add it into the pots that I plant the potatoes in. I think the soil is going to be perfect. Light fluffy. I think it'll be well draining, hold just enough moisture. So I have this bucket that I recently took a rose bush out of because I planted it in my front yard. Got it out of that bucket. So this is the pot I'll be planting my potatoes in. Fill it with about 6 inches of soil. So it looks like the soil is about right here. I think that's about 6 inches, and I'm going to drop a few potatoes in there. Take the ones that have the most eyes. Put this up here so y'all can see. So I've added about 6 inches of the soil. I'm going to add, these are the 3 biggest potatoes. They have eyes on them. I'm going to amend it with the plant tone. The ratio for the plant tone, it says 5-3-3. So 5 nitrogen, 3 phosphorus, and 3 potassium. Kind of sprinkle that in there. It's organic, and so it shouldn't burn your plants. Put plenty of it in there. And then I'm going to add a couple more inches of soil on top of it. And as they start to grow, I'll come out and add some more soil to the top. Put the same amount of soil on top as I did at the bottom. That's 3 shovels worth. Alright, that looks good. I'm going to put this over here with the rest of my trees and stuff, shrubs and trees, so that I can keep an eye on it. So that's one. I also have this nursery bucket. I think this is probably about 10 or 15 gallons. All right. So as I was saying, I also have this nursery bucket, which I think is about 10 or 15 gallons. I didn't plan on putting anything in this, and so I'm gonna put some potatoes in it. I don't have any trees to put in there at the moment. And it's gonna be the same process as I used with the other potatoes. About 6 inches of soil. Add in my potatoes. These potatoes are a little on the small side, so I'm going to put all 4 of them in here. They do have eyes on them though. This one has a couple, so I'm going to plant it anyway. Amend it with the plant tone. Plenty. And then I'll cover it with a little more soil. It's wood. One more in there. Alright, set this one to the side so we can start growing too. Alright, so now that we've got the potatoes done, like I said, I did want to start a second round of seeds. Most of those are going to be some melons. Then I wanted to do some tomatoes because I have no tomato plants in the garden right now. All of the tomatoes that I had were either on the bed that fell over. And I had to rebuild, and so I ended up having to pull all of those tomatoes, or they were on that back bed, where the bed that's all the way in the back by my chicken coop, where I ended up having to pull all of those tomatoes because it was getting intertwined in the loofah. And so I'm needing to start more tomatoes. I don't think if it were the normal temperatures that it is in Texas around this time, would be, like I said, over 100 degrees, those tomatoes would not have survived anyway. They would be struggling, dropping flowers, and not producing. And so it's always best, I think, here in Texas, is to start a second crop of tomatoes later on in the fall once the weather starts to cool down. But it will cool down a lot. By the time these tomatoes are big enough to start producing, the weather would have changed drastically. Of course, I need to start some more sage because the one that I had is dead. And here's a Sugar Rush peach. It says 20 seeds, and it's supposed to be 90 days as well. And so I might go ahead and plant this Sugar Rush peach and see what happens. Then I want to get a couple of squash in the ground. So I'll do this early yellow straight neck squash. Then I'll also do this Ford Hook zucchini. And so it looks like I've gone through everything that I want to get planted. I went ahead and dropped a couple of bean seeds on yesterday. And so I soak those for a few minutes before dropping them into the ground. They are pole beans. Um, you don't have to soak your beans, but it does help them to germinate a little faster. And so let me get my potting mix. I also need my bucket. Oh, I forgot about the kajari and the dill. Oh, and I ordered these purple teddy bear seeds too. They were on Etsy, so I'm gonna try these out. Put a couple of these in. But I got a kajari melon, I got a kale, and then I've got a dill because the dill that I planted is small. I planted it in the same bed with my eggplant. The eggplant is so huge, it's covering it, and so it's really struggling for full sun. I think I need to put my apron on for this. All right, got my handy dandy apron. This is a little dry. You can spray some water in here. Use my spray setting, my mist setting on my sprayer because I don't want to absolutely drench it. I just want to get it to where it will be moist and retain some water. I don't want to put the seeds in this mix while it's super dry either. I think it would be hard to get it to take on some moisture at that point once it's in the cups. Now it's getting better. Now some of these I'm going to poke them directly into the soil and cover them with a basket. I have less control if I do it that way. I prefer a more controlled environment, which means I usually prefer to not drop my seeds in the soil. I like to put them in these little cups where I can monitor how much moisture they have, whether or not they've come up, stuff like that. And so I feel like, I see a lot of people do dropping seeds in the soil directly and theirs germinate, so mine can't be that different. I'm gonna give it a try. But I usually start everything in these little pots. That's good. Maybe a little more. Let's hope that's good. The squash, I will definitely be starting in these little pots. The kajari melon, I'm also going to be starting in these little pots. Because I still have some kajaris that are actually producing. They're not as big as they were when this plant first started producing, but it's still producing. So I don't want to pull it out because I got some that need to be ripe. But once those are ripe, I'm going to pull them off and I'm going to plant these new seeds. Now keep in mind, the kajari is not a full-size watermelon. I think it's a little too late in the season to plant full-size watermelons. I don't think they have enough time to grow, and so I won't be planting any full-size watermelons. Just a kajari melon. I may do a cantaloupe because they produce pretty quickly too and require less time to grow. And then also maybe a sugar baby. I have to check and see how quickly they grow. I'm thinking it would be similar to the same time as a cantaloupe because it's about the size of a cantaloupe. I'm going to do 3 of each of those. 3 squash and 3 zucchini. Hopefully by the time these are able to start producing and getting flowers, the squash vine borer will be long gone. If not, Diva Jones mentioned on her channel that she would rather go out and hand pollinate all of her squash than lose it all to the squash bug. And so she has her squash covered with insect net or tulle. And so I may go ahead and do that because it looks like that's going to be the only way I'm going to get some squash this year, because the squash vine borer has been really active. It's already killed I had a candy roaster squash. That's gone already. Too late to start more seeds. I also had a cushaw squash. I started 2 of those. They're gone because of the squash vine borer. And so now, and it also killed the blue Hubbard squash, which was supposed to be a trap crop, and it's gone. So at this point, I'm probably going to consider her idea pretty serious as far as getting it covered with the insect netting to get some squash. All right, rinse my hands off. I don't want to get my seeds wet. We'll start with those squash that I was talking about. Three of the summer squash. It's the Ford Hook zucchini. Plant 2 seeds in each cup, have a backup seed just in case one doesn't germinate. Put it in point down. Going to be the early yellow straight deck squash. I don't even feel like I have 6 seeds in this package, so we'll see. We shall see. Let's see how many we got in here. There's 5. I need to re-up on my squash. So I'm going to try to do 2 in each, but there's going to be one pot that only has 1 seed. right, we got all the squash done. I'm gonna go ahead and do my Kajari melon. Yeah, this does not give a maturity date, but it grew pretty quickly. So this is a Kajari melon. I'm going to be planting it. I'm gonna start. I want to say two. I'm just gonna do two. So that means I'll do 4 seeds in case one doesn't make it. And these seeds are tiny. Well, I guess I should have prepped my pots before I poured my seeds, huh? Get a couple more pots. These are supposed to go point down. Sometimes it's hard to figure out which end is a pointy end. It's easy enough on these seeds. The first few Kajari melons that I tried, because this is my second year growing the Kajari. Last year, they were so-so, and I had to have a chance to try them. My daughter, she enjoyed them, but because they were green inside, I was thinking, oh, it must taste like honeydew melon, and I absolutely hate honeydew. I don't like the way it tastes. And so I was like, I'm not gonna eat it, but I decided to go ahead and give it a try, and it was so delicious. Oh my God, I'm hooked on them now. And so I definitely got to get some more of those in. I gave some to my neighbor, took a couple to my co-workers because it was growing so well, producing so well. And so hopefully I'll be able to get my last little fix from these Kajari melons that I'm starting today. And have a few extra to give to my co-workers and my neighbor like I did on the last batch. All right, these are done. Now we can walk around. 8 tomatoes. It worked out perfectly. That's exactly how many I can fit into this bed over here. And I definitely want to use this bed because it's in full sun and the days are going to be getting shorter because we're already past the summer solstice. And so this bed would definitely be the best place to plant them. So I'm going to start at this end over here. All right, so these are the little Dollar Tree baskets that I'm going to use to cover the seeds. I have 8 of them, which is perfect. And then I'm going to start down here on this end with the mushroom basket. That's the first one to be planted, is the mushroom basket. Next tomato will be the purple bumblebee. Let me take my pass off. On the list, Wood's Famous Brimmer is next. Which is the Napoli tomato. It's a determinate, so I kind of want to put the determinants right here on the ends. But since I got this pepper here, I guess I'll be putting it right next to the pepper. Move to the next side. Got some grass growing in here. Some weeds coming up. So I'm going to start down on this end. Whew, sweet potato vines everywhere. I'll point this a little closer. Comfrey is doing much better since I put it in the bed. And plus with all that rain that we got, my plants really did like it. They did good. The ones that were still on the ground. Alright, so this tomato is going to be the Cherokee Purple. Cherokee Purple's next. That's the one that's coming next, Boxcar Willie. Three, make some space. Not covering them with too much soil because they're tiny seeds. Oh, I need a label. I forget that part. Alright, that looks good. Next tomato is going to be the indigo apple. Indigo apple. Get a label for this last tomato, which is the indigo pear drop. But since it's only one, I can go ahead and get it planted. I'm gonna plant it right here. I think I need to add a little more soil. It's kind of low on this end. All right, I got my second round of tomatoes planted. All right, now that all of my tomatoes are planted, I'm gonna get my potatoes watered in. Also have these tomatillos that need to be pulled out. So the tomatillos are, ooh, is that a ground cherry coming up? Yes, it is. And I also have a couple of volunteer basils and a volunteer marigold. Anyway, as I was saying, the tomatillo is not doing all that great. It produced a bunch of tomatillos all at one time, and then I guess because I didn't prune it, it started going downhill. And so I wanted to get a couple of those in the ground as well. I already cut them the other day so it could start dying. I want to get these tomato pits out here. Space for a new one. Another tomato clip. Sure, there's gonna be plenty of volunteers next year because there's tomatillos everywhere. All right, guys, that's going to be it for this video. I appreciate you all tagging along. If you found my content interesting or found something of value in it, I'd appreciate it if you could like, share, and subscribe for future videos. In the meantime, I'll see you on the next video. Bye.